Hello, everyone. Today, the topic of my speech is not a topic, it is reality. So let me ask you something. What would your life look like if you could master your emotions instead of letting your emotions master you? What kind of relationships would you build? What kind of decisions would you make? What kind of leader, partner, or creator would you become if, no matter what happened around you, you were able to remain focused, calm, passionate, and in control? Because here's the truth, most people don't want to hear. It's not the events of your life that shape your destiny. It's how you feel about them. It's not what happens to you, it's the emotional meaning you attach to it. Your emotions dictate your energy. Your energy drives your behavior, and your behavior creates the life you live. You think your problem is strategy? No. You think your problem is time? No. You think your problem is lack of motivation? Not even close. Your problem is that you're allowing emotions like fear, self-doubt, anger, or frustration to take the driver's seat in moments that require certainty, clarity, and power. Most people are slaves to how they feel in the moment. They wake up tired, so they drag through the day. They feel disrespected, so they lash out. They feel uncertain, so they pull back. And their entire life becomes a reaction to emotion rather than a creation born from emotional mastery. But you don't have to live that way, because emotions are not fixed. They are not your identity. They are not your destiny. They are simply signals your mind and body are sending based on your current focus, your physiology, and your internal language. And once you understand how to intercept and redirect those signals, you begin to take back control of your life. Imagine this. Two people go through the exact same experience. One sees it as the end, the other sees it as the beginning. One crumbles, the other rises. Why? Because of emotion. Because one allowed the experience to become a source of disempowerment, and the other used it as fuel. You get to choose how you feel. You get to choose how you respond. You get to decide what every moment means, and that decision shapes your future. The moment you take command of your emotions, everything changes. You stop reacting to people and start leading them. You stop fearing your circumstances and start shaping them. You stop being a victim of life and start becoming the architect of it. But let's be clear, emotional mastery doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means pain doesn't own you. It doesn't control your thoughts. It doesn't freeze you in place. It becomes feedback, not failure. You still feel frustration, but now you use it to move faster. You still feel doubt, but now you answer it with action. You still feel fear, but now you dance with it instead of hiding from it. And don't make the mistake of thinking this is just about motivation. This is survival. This is business. This is leadership. In every area of your life, whether you're growing a company, building a family, chasing a vision, or breaking through barriers, your ability to master your emotional state will determine how far you go, how fast you grow, and how much you enjoy the journey along the way. You can't influence others if you can't influence yourself. You can't demand greatness from your team if you can't demand emotional discipline from your own mind. You want high performance? Then you need high emotional standards. You want connection? Then you need emotional intelligence. You want success? Then you need to master the emotional battlefield within you before you ever expect to win the one outside you. It starts with awareness, knowing your triggers, knowing what patterns sabotage your state, knowing what beliefs ignite fear or shut down your power. And once you're aware, you replace the automatic reaction with intentional action. You move your body, you shift your breath, you change your focus, you ask better questions, you speak better words, you remember who you really are. Because deep down, you are not your anger, you are not your sadness, you are not your stress, you are not your anxiety. Those are just signals. They're messages. And it's time to stop drowning in them and start decoding them. You were built for more than emotional survival. You were built for emotional strength, for joy, for passion, for hunger, for presence, for power. But to live there, you must train yourself. You must condition the emotions you want to feel most. Not once, not when life is easy, every single day. And the more you do, the faster your default setting shifts. You stop living in fear, and you start operating from faith. You stop feeling like a fraud, and you start stepping into truth. You stop hesitating, and you start leading. Because now emotion doesn't own you, you own it. You use it, you guide it, you master it. And that's the moment you take control of your life. One of the greatest lies we've been conditioned to believe is this: I feel it, so it must be true. But feelings are not facts. Emotions are not reality. They are interpretations. They are signals, not verdicts. Yet most people allow emotions to dictate their decisions, dominate their relationships, and determine their outcomes, without ever questioning if those emotions are even valid. Think about that. How many people have destroyed an opportunity, ended a relationship, or walked away from their potential just because they felt afraid, or insecure, or overwhelmed? They felt not good enough, so they didn't apply. They felt hurt, so they cut people off. They felt angry, so they said things they couldn't take back. In the heat of emotion, it feels justified. But later you realize it was a moment of reaction, not reason. That's because emotions are chemical. They are instant responses produced by your nervous system based on your current interpretation of a situation. Your brain is constantly scanning for meaning, and that meaning produces emotion. The problem? Most of that meaning comes from old filters, past experiences, past pain, limiting beliefs. So when something triggers you today, you're not just reacting to this moment, you're reacting to every unprocessed experience that came before it. Let's say someone gives you critical feedback. If your old story is "I'm not good enough," your brain immediately assigns a negative meaning to their words. That meaning triggers insecurity, which feels like shame, which then creates defensiveness or withdrawal. But none of that is rooted in fact. It's just one interpretation, based on an outdated story you never rewrote. So what's the truth? The truth is your emotion is not the enemy. It's just a messenger. It's the body's way of saying, hey, pay attention. The question is not, how do I stop feeling this? The real question is, what is this feeling trying to teach me? And how can I respond instead of react? If you want to master your emotions, you must start by separating the signal from the story. Recognize when an emotion arises, and instead of attaching to it like it's the truth, pause. Ask yourself, is this reaction coming from reality or from fear, from logic or from habit, from truth or from trauma? Because when you can observe emotion without letting it own you, you take back your power. Emotion only dominates those who haven't learned to decode it. But once you do, you turn something that used to sabotage you into a superpower that guides your growth. Here's a powerful shift. Instead of labeling emotions as good or bad, label them as useful or not useful. Ask, is this emotion helping me move forward right now, or is it pulling me backward? If the answer is backward, pause, breathe, reroute. Choose a better response. Over time, this rewires your brain to respond with intelligence, instead of reacting from instinct. Now, this doesn't mean you numb your feelings. Suppression is not mastery. Mastery is being fully aware of what you're feeling, owning it, but not letting it run your life. It's saying, yes, I feel fear right now, but I choose courage. Yes, I feel anger, but I choose clarity. Yes, I feel uncertain, but I choose action anyway. Every high performer, every great leader, every powerful communicator, they've all trained themselves to pause before they react. That space between the emotion and the reaction, that's where mastery lives. That's where transformation begins. Let's use a simple analogy. Your emotions are like the dashboard lights in your car. When a warning light flashes, it doesn't mean the car is broken. It means something needs attention. You don't freak out or throw the car away. You investigate. You get curious. You find the issue and fix it. Your emotions work the same way. They're not signals to crash. They're signals to course correct. Here's the truth. Your future belongs to the version of you that knows how to respond to life without being hijacked by it. You can no longer afford to be at the mercy of moods. You cannot allow fleeting feelings to dictate lasting outcomes. Because your emotions are not always aligned with your goals, but your choices can be. You were not born to be ruled by emotion. You were born to use it as a guide, not a god. Every emotion you feel is a chance to go deeper, to gain insight, to grow in awareness and strength. But only if you're willing to ask better questions. Only if you're willing to stand in the storm and say, this feeling is real but it's not permanent. This is not who I am. This is just information. And when you begin to live from that level of awareness, you stop reacting to life like a victim and start designing life like a master. Because the truth is, once you learn to control what you feel, you begin to shape what you experience. And that's when everything changes. People think they make decisions based on logic. They think the choices they make, what to say, when to act, how to lead, when to risk, come from analysis and reason. But in reality, most decisions are driven by state, by emotion, by how we feel in the moment, not what we know. Let me prove it to you. Think about the last time you had a plan, clear goals, great intentions, maybe even a to-do list. But then something happened. You got distracted. Someone said something that threw off your mood. You felt tired, frustrated, annoyed, and suddenly the list didn't matter anymore. The plan faded, and you either procrastinated, reacted emotionally, or made a choice you later regretted. Not because you didn't know what to do, but because your state shifted. Your emotional state overrode your logic. This happens all the time. We are not thinking machines who sometimes feel. We are feeling machines who occasionally think clearly. And the sooner you accept this, the faster you can take control of your outcomes. Here's the key. Your state, your emotional, mental, and physical condition at any moment determines your decisions, and your decisions determine your destiny. If you're in a powerful state, you take bold action. You speak with certainty. You stand tall, breathe deep, and solve problems creatively. But if you're in a poor state, low energy, high stress, doubt, anxiety, you second-guess yourself. You hesitate. You shrink, even if you know better. This is why mastering your state is more important than memorizing strategies. Because in the real world, the person who feels the most certainty wins. Not the one with the highest IQ, not the one with the best degree, but the one who can consistently access powerful emotional states, even under pressure. Let's break this down. What determines your emotional state? 3 things. Your physiology, your focus, and your language. First, physiology. How you move is how you feel. Your posture, your breathing, your facial expressions. These directly influence your emotions. You can't feel powerful when you're slouched, shallow breathing, and looking down. But stand up tall, breathe fully, put a smile on your face, even if it's forced, and your brain starts to shift. Why? Because motion creates emotion. Change your body, and you instantly begin to change your state. Second, focus. What you focus on, you feel. If you constantly focus on what's missing, what's wrong, or what you can't control, you will create states of frustration, helplessness, and fear. But if you focus on what's possible, what's working, what you can influence, you'll shift into states of empowerment and clarity. And from there, your behavior will match that energy. Third, language. The words you use, both out loud and in your head, shape your emotions. Say, "I'm overwhelmed," and your body will tighten, your heart rate will spike, and your decisions will suffer. But say, "I'm figuring this out," and your body softens, your breath deepens, and you find solutions. The vocabulary of your mind programs your nervous system. So choose your words wisely, because they shape the states you live in. Once you understand these 3 levers, you can take control of your state, anytime, anywhere. You don't have to be at the mercy of moods or external circumstances. You can train yourself to step into confidence, energy, certainty, no matter what's going on around you. High performers don't wait to feel good. They generate the emotional states required for the task. Before they lead, they access presence. Before they perform, they access power. Before they connect, they access empathy. They don't hope for the right emotion. They create it. And you can too. You want better habits. Don't just change your routine. Change your state. You want deeper relationships. Don't just learn new communication techniques. Bring a better emotional state into every interaction. You want more success in business. Don't just study tactics. Master your internal environment so you can execute them under pressure. When you change your state, you change your behavior. When you change your behavior, you change your outcomes. And when you do that consistently, you change your life. So here's the truth. No matter what happens around you, the greatest power you will ever possess is the ability to choose your state, not based on your circumstances, but based on your commitment to how you want to show up. You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are not your mood. You are not your current emotion. You are the one who decides which state to live in, which emotion to amplify, and which story to believe. And the moment you start living by state, rather than by circumstance, that's the moment you go from being reactive to being unstoppable. Emotional mastery is not a gift some people are born with. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained, strengthened, and conditioned. You don't need a perfect past or a peaceful environment to become emotionally strong. What you need is practice, repetition, intention, daily commitment. Because emotions, just like muscles, grow stronger the more you work them. There's this illusion that emotional control is reserved for monks or superheroes. That to be emotionally strong, you need to be calm, 24/7, or unshaken by anything. But that's not emotional mastery. Emotional mastery is not the absence of emotion. It's the presence of awareness and control, even in the storm. It's the ability to feel the wave rise inside of you and choose your response instead of reacting automatically. That ability isn't luck. It's training. Tony Robbins says, the quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. Think about that. You can have all the money, success, love, opportunity, but if you're constantly living in stress, anger, fear, or guilt, your experience of life will still feel miserable. On the flip side, someone with far less can feel alive, energized, and fulfilled if they've trained themselves to live in powerful emotional states. That's what makes all the difference. It's not the world outside, it's the world inside. So how do you train it? Start with small reps. Just like you don't go to the gym once and expect results, you can't expect to master your emotions without consistency. Begin by noticing your patterns. What emotional state do you default to under stress, under pressure, in conflict? That's your current conditioning. Don't judge it.
Observe it.
Because once you recognize the pattern, you can interrupt it. Now here's where the real training begins. You start replacing that default emotional state with one that serves you better. Let's say you default to frustration. The moment you feel it rising, you pause, you breathe, you shift your body, you ask a better question, like what else could this mean? Or how can I learn from this right now? That moment is a rep. That moment is you doing the work. Do it again tomorrow. Do it 5 times this week. Do it every time life challenges you. That's how emotional strength grows. Not by suppressing what you feel, but by redirecting it on purpose. Another Tony Robbins quote makes this even more clear. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you keep focusing on what you can't control, you'll stay anxious. If you focus on what you lack, you'll feel insecure. But if you train yourself
daily
to focus on gratitude, progress, and possibility, you literally change your emotional blueprint. And here's what's powerful. Your nervous system starts to adapt. It begins to expect the new emotional state. The more often you return to peace, to power, to courage, to love, the more that becomes your home. Just like a muscle, the more you use it, the easier it gets. You can accelerate this with rituals. Morning routines that prime your mind and body. Daily incantations. Affirmations, spoken out loud with emotion and movement. Visualization, where you feel your goals as if they're already done. Physical training, because your body and mind are one. The more you move, the more you awaken power. The more you breathe intentionally, the more you calm chaos. It's all part of emotional conditioning. It's not about never feeling negative emotions. You're human. You'll feel fear, anger, sadness, but those emotions no longer get to stay. You feel them, learn from them, and move through them. And eventually, they lose their grip. Because the stronger emotions, joy, confidence, certainty, have been trained to take over. Emotional mastery also means preparing for the emotional storms before they arrive. Champions don't train when it's easy. They train when it's hard. So when life gets messy, you don't fall apart. You rise. You've conditioned yourself to breathe deeper under pressure, to speak truth when fear shows up, to lead when others freeze. That's mastery. And here's the best part. You don't have to wait 10 years to feel the change. Every rep counts. Every day, you take control instead of reacting. Blindly, you're rewiring your emotional brain. And over time, that becomes your identity. You start to say things like, I don't break easily. I recover fast. I am the calm in the storm, not because you're pretending, but because you've earned it. This level of self-command doesn't just make your life better. It makes you a leader, a rock, someone people turn to, follow and believe in. Because when the world is spinning out, people don't follow the smartest person. They follow the one who's emotionally strong. So don't just lift weights. Lift your emotional standard. Train it. Stretch it. Push it. Because the stronger your emotions, the more powerful your life becomes. You are not at the mercy of what you feel. You are the master of it. The difference between a good leader and a great leader isn't necessarily intelligence or expertise. It's emotional intelligence. It's the ability to not just understand and manage your own emotions, but to recognize and influence the emotions of others. When you master your emotions, you're not only improving your own life, you're empowering those around you. And that is where real influence is born. Emotional intelligence is the capacity to recognize your own emotions and the emotions of others, and to use this awareness to manage your behavior and relationships effectively. High emotional intelligence is what makes you resilient in the face of challenges, what makes you magnetic to others, and what allows you to lead in a way that truly inspires. Let's take a moment to understand the difference. A person with low emotional intelligence might react to a setback with frustration and blame. They might lash out, shut down, or even quit. But a person with high emotional intelligence doesn't let their emotions drive them. They manage their emotions and choose their response. They might still feel disappointed, but instead of letting it control them, they use that emotion to fuel their next move. The power of emotional intelligence lies in its ability to influence. When you master your emotions, you create a sense of calm certainty that others are drawn to. People don't follow you because you're perfect. They follow you because you are present, steady, and able to guide them through uncertainty. Emotional intelligence allows you to be a force of stability when the world is shaking around you, and a source of inspiration when others need it the most. You see, emotional intelligence is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about using them to connect with others and lead them. When you're able to stay centered, calm, and positive, even when things get tough, you set the tone for those around you. Your energy becomes contagious. You inspire confidence in others simply by how you handle your own emotional state. There's a reason people gravitate toward emotionally intelligent leaders. They make others feel safe and understood. In any relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, a business relationship, or a leadership role, people need to feel heard, valued, and supported. High emotional intelligence allows you to connect with people on a deeper level. You can read the room. You know when to push forward and when to pause. You understand when to motivate and when to listen. But emotional intelligence isn't just about being calm and composed. It's also about being authentic. It's about sharing your true feelings and emotions in a way that invites others to do the same. It's about being vulnerable without losing your sense of strength. When you own your emotions, when you embrace your humanity, you empower others to do the same. And in doing so, you create a culture of trust, collaboration, and shared purpose. Let me share with you a story about a leader I once met, a woman named Sarah, who had an extraordinary impact on everyone she led. Sarah was the CEO of a rapidly growing startup. She was an exceptional strategist, a visionary, and a powerful communicator. But what truly set her apart was her emotional intelligence. There was one particular moment when the company hit a major roadblock. Revenue was down, the market was shifting, and the team was feeling defeated. Sarah could have easily hidden behind her office doors, focusing on the numbers, or laid blame on others. But instead, she gathered her team in a meeting room. She didn't pretend everything was fine. She didn't sugarcoat the situation. She was honest. "This is tough," she said. "I'm feeling frustrated too. But I know this. If we work together, if we stay focused, we will find a solution. And I'm committed to making sure each of you feels supported as we do this together." That moment was a game changer. Her vulnerability and transparency weren't weaknesses. They were strength. She didn't shy away from showing her emotions, but she used them to lead with authenticity, resilience, and hope. As a result, the team rallied. People were inspired, not because she was perfect, but because she owned her emotions and showed them how to use theirs effectively. They knew they could count on Sarah to stay steady, no matter how tough things got. Sarah's leadership wasn't just about vision.
It was about connection. By understanding her own emotions and being willing to share them, she created a culture where people felt safe to express their own. And that's how you build a truly unstoppable team. The truth is, when you own your emotions, you don't just lead others, you empower them. You make them feel heard. You make them feel capable. You help them unlock their potential. Emotionally intelligent people don't just influence, they elevate. They don't just manage, they inspire. And that's the kind of leader the world needs more of. So ask yourself, how often do you let your emotions control you? How often do you react impulsively, without pausing to think? What would happen if you could rise above your emotions, choose your state, and influence others, with your calm certainty and presence? Because that's the power you have at your fingertips. Master your emotions, and you'll master your life, and the lives of those around you. Now think about the power of mastering your emotions. Imagine living in a state where nothing, no challenge, no setback, no person could shake you. Picture yourself waking up every day with a deep sense of certainty, grounded in your own emotional intelligence. Imagine handling stress, criticism, and uncertainty with poise, turning them into opportunities for growth, rather than obstacles to your success. Mastering your emotions is not about being perfect. It's not about never feeling angry, sad, or frustrated. Emotions are a natural part of the human experience, and they carry important information. What matters is how you respond to those emotions. Do you let them control you, or do you learn to control them? Do you let fear keep you stuck, or do you use it as fuel to move forward? This is where your true power lies. When you learn to manage your emotions, you unlock the ability to lead yourself and others with clarity, confidence, and resilience. You become someone who can stay grounded in the storm and inspire others to rise above it. You become someone who doesn't wait for life to happen to them, but someone who makes life happen on their own terms. It all comes down to this. Mastering your emotions is the difference between reacting to life and creating your life. The world will always throw challenges your way. There will always be things outside of your control. But what you can control is your emotional response. And that control doesn't just change the way you live. It changes the way you experience every moment. When you truly master your emotions, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You no longer let fear dictate your decisions. You no longer allow anger to blind your judgment. You no longer let doubt hold you back. Instead, you become a force of positive change. You learn to use your emotions as a tool, not a weapon against you, but a catalyst for success. There's a moment of power in every decision. A moment where you get to choose. Will I let this emotion define me, or will I use it to move forward? That decision is yours. Every single day, you have the opportunity to rewire your emotional responses, to strengthen your emotional intelligence, and to build a life that's defined by emotional mastery, rather than emotional chaos. When you master your emotions, you create an environment where anything is possible. You become unstoppable. Your relationships deepen. Your career flourishes. Your influence grows. And your sense of fulfillment skyrockets. So take this to heart. Emotional mastery is not a destination. It's a journey. It's a commitment to growth every single day. You don't need to have it all figured out right now. But you do need to start. Start by noticing your patterns. Start by interrupting those negative emotional loops. Start by consciously choosing your state and your response to life. And remember, as you embark on this journey, you're not alone. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has faced their own emotional struggles. But the ones who succeeded, the ones who became legends, are the ones who learned to master their emotions, not let them So the next time you face a challenge, a difficult moment, or an overwhelming emotion, ask yourself, what if this was an opportunity to rise? What if this emotion is here to teach me something powerful? What if I can use it to become the best version of myself? Because you can. You are already on your way to emotional mastery. Keep moving forward. Keep practicing. Keep learning. And know this: when you master your emotions, you will truly master your life.